And joining us now to discuss is Steamboat Institute Blankley Fellow Dr. George Bogden and foreign policy expert Michael Santo. Great to have you both with us here. Dr. Bogden, I'm going to start with you here. What are you anticipating will come out of this meeting? My understanding is that a lot of the China-America meetings are sort of pre-hashed out, pre-scripted, and there's not a lot of negotiation during the actual meetings.
Right. I think you're absolutely hitting the nail on the head, Katrina, that much of what we're going to see today is a bit of pageantry. I will mention as well, there's a concern in Washington that even if there are agreements, as you mentioned in the introduction, about fentanyl or, the reestablishment of military-to-military communication, that they won't be underlined by a real strategy. And so I would highlight for your listeners and for your watchers that President Trump actually undertook an agreement on fentanyl with Xi, and of course that was never enforced. So those are the kinds of issues that I think are going to be at the forefront of those of us who are paying close attention today.
Michael, to get this meeting here with President Xi, do you think President Biden had to already make some type of economic concessions to get him in? And then when you talk about fentanyl, almost like a Chinese-made problem that they're using now as a pawn to pull some strings here so they can get something, creating a problem in our country to do so. What do you think about that?
I think the U.S. and China, and I think the respective leaders had their own interests to do the deals. Biden's going into the presidential election. It's healthy to see the two leaders together. Hopefully gives the Chinese society a sense that we're not in conflict. Obviously, we can't let China export poison to our people and use it as leverage. We need to punish them whenever we catch them. We shouldn't negotiate anything with that. That would make them almost like drug dealers. So we can't give them leverage. I don't think there was major concessions. I think both leaders, both countries have a lot to gain symbolically from this, but I think that the Chinese have been increasingly behaving poorly over the last 10 years, and we need to show them strength, or real strength, that you can't do in a meeting per se.
Dr. Bogden, also, as you said, a lot of pageantry today, so everything will seem normalized and as everybody's getting along swimmingly. But one of those potentially negotiated items is AI. Biden and Xi reportedly want to sign a deal to keep AI out of control systems for nuclear weapons, which certainly sounds like a great idea. But you have to question China's motives or their follow through, considering they are so close to Iran, who is very close to having a nuclear weapon.
Right. I think that's absolutely important to recognize that we should never be trusting specifically what China's saying about what its intentions are for military technology. I think that really, as China entered into its big negotiations with the United States over arms control that occurred just at the beginning of this month, it simultaneously undertook a meeting with Russia's government in which they spoke about the need for collaboration and cooperation of their militaries. And this is as Russia is continuing to foment chaos in the international system. So these tertiary agreements that they're coming to regarding AI and its connection to nuclear weapons, of course, sound good, but we need to see follow through from Beijing before we conclude that real progress has been made.
Yeah, great point there, Dr. Bogden and Michael Santo. We've been discussing throughout the show already that China is known for making empty promises for benefits that the U.S. gives them immediately. So we'll see how things develop after this meeting. Thanks so much for your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.